Want to learn how to negotiate a divorce decree without being bullied? Or how to win at divorce when you don't have the power? Hi, I'm Lisa Rested, mother of three, with a master's of business administration and a successful businesswoman with experience in running million-dollar contracts and negotiating deals in the corporate world. Years ago, I was in your shoes. I wanted a divorce. So I did what everyone else does when getting a divorce and hired an attorney. I learned three things. Nothing is fair in divorce. Nothing can ever be split and equal 50-50. There is no such thing as amicable divorce because emotions rule even years later. In the next 60 minutes, you're going to learn my exact strategy on how to negotiate your divorce decree without being bullied into accepting terms that could harm you for years to come. Don't forget, at the end of this webinar, if you stick around all the way to the end, I'm going to give you a secret link where you can download a checklist that will help to ensure that your attorney has covered everything in your divorce decree for free. I know there are distractions all around us, but this strategy that I'm about to share with you will change your life. I don't want you to miss a single crucial step, so please make a commitment to stay focused. Can you do that for yourself? Close out Facebook, stop checking your email, turn off your cell phone, and give me your complete attention. Have you ever wondered if there was already an established framework to help structure a divorce decree on your terms that fits your needs, but you don't know what to research or how to put it all together? I have the answer. Are you concerned that you can't succeed with a fair divorce because you don't have the money to hire a top attorney to help structure a divorce decree that fits your needs? Then put those fears to rest. Attorneys want you to think you can't get divorced without hiring one, that they are the experts and are the best choice when drafting out your decree, but that's not true. If you've ever thought that attorneys want you to fail, you are probably right. So we're here to show you how to strategically plan your divorce decree during this webinar. I want to help you get divorced without having an attorney hijack the process. I want to help you design a divorce decree that will meet and fit your individual needs. I want to help eliminate bad division of marital assets, debt, and child-rearing responsibilities, usually brought on by your and your ex-spouse's attorney. I want to help you regain control so that you are the driver of all decisions. The one-way type of thinking. The one way for you to get divorced without having an attorney hijack the process is to design a divorce decree that will fit and meet your individual needs on your terms is by knowing exactly what you're willing to keep, give away, or negotiate a better deal. The one way to do that is through a step-by-step formulated process that will help you design your roadmap to success when dissolving your marriage. So here's my story. Looking from the outside in, I was living the dream of a fairy tale marriage, married to a military officer who was a doctor, and I was on the top of my career game in the healthcare field. But it all really was a nightmare, and I wanted to escape it. Then I learned that everything was a lie. I was embarrassed that I failed my family, children, and God. I never wanted anyone to know the truth. If I did not escape, I was afraid that my soul would finish dying and my children would suffer the ultimate price. When I made the decision to end my marriage, I quickly learned that my attorneys were overpriced consultants with little to no value as they never delivered, but made a ton of promises with the caveat, well, I can't guarantee anything. I need to regain control back, but how? Then it hit me. Getting a divorce is like dissolving a bad business deal. Instead of playing the fear game of what would happen to my children, will I have enough money to continue to raise them like they are accustomed to, or how will we divide a lifetime of stuff, I decided to do what I always do. I studied, I learned, and then planned. First, I mapped out all of my and my husband's finances, then plotted them on a formulated spreadsheet where I was able to calculate the entire but truthful picture. Next, I evaluated all of our retirements, our insurance plans, as well as any and all property. Then I studied my state laws to see how things could be divided. I also studied financial tax rules to help me better understand the best course of action to divide up our marital property. Finally, I developed my action plan to help me visualize what I was willing to keep, willing to give away, and what I was willing to use as a bargaining chip during the negotiation phase. So if you have children, your attorney will sell you short every single time. Child support does not properly cover raising a child. You need equitable division of child-rearing responsibilities. Most of the time, decrees only award child support based off the annual taxable income of the non-custodial parent. But what about all the indirect costs that fall on the primary custodial parent, causing either lost wages or preventing them from climbing the corporate ladder? I don't accept when multiple attorneys at different times have told me, well, you wanted the children. Well, what does that mean? If you were the primary parent for a child, you should continue to be the primary parent for that child. Were they saying that I should be punished because child support payments are an asset? Really? Well, I have worked with the exception of 1 year of my children's lives, and it is much easier working and bringing in the money than caring for the needs of a child. Child support is not an asset because anyone who has ever spent 24 hours a day caring for a child with no time off will tell you they would love to have physical help. Add insult to injury, there are many other primary care parents who are always cleaning up after the non-custodial parent when they don't pick up a child at the required time. I'm not saying every parent is like that because I've met some fabulous dads, but male attorneys are only looking at this as an asset loss from their client's bank account. There has to be a better way. So I designed several products that actually put numbers to raising a child from being a baby all the way up to college years. These are the things that should be considered when divorcing with children. Remember, everything is negotiable in a divorce. So if you plan and have numbers to back it all up, then it makes it much easier to tack on things instead of placing everything under the umbrella of child support. How does this apply to you? Remember, you do not have any research or development as this program has done it for you. You do not have to make the same mistakes hundreds of others have because we have walked you around them. You get the tools needed to analyze your marital landscape so you are in control of division of your marital landscape. You will have the power to negotiate your decree even if your spouse, your attorney, or his are bullying you because numbers and sequential facts are hard to ignore. Not only has this worked for me, but here's a story about Susan, who used the same processes recently to help her not only design her rock-solid divorce decree, but she did it without ever hiring an attorney, saving her and her ex-spouse well over $10,000 in attorney retainer fees. This process also works on military and long-term marriages. Not only has this worked for me, but as I mentioned before, Susan, who used the same processes. It helped her design her rock-solid decree, but she did it without ever hiring an attorney. Let's look at Susan. Susan was married over 30 years until her husband decided to call it quits. She already had grown children. They both were college graduates. They owned multiple properties, had multiple asset accounts, retirement accounts, 401ks, life insurance, bank accounts, and had a 25-year military pension. So how did Susan do it? Susan filled out all the tools. She came up with a division of assets and a debt plan. She negotiated a rock-solid agreement because she had all the numbers at hand. So the end result to her divorce was her husband agreed to all divisions without a fight because the numbers did the talking. Both agreed to use a paralegal, saving them on average $10,000. Susan received half of all retirement accounts. She walked away debt-free, plus with a fat savings account. She kept the newly remodeled home in exchange that her husband could keep all of his 6 sports cars while he was still paying on. Susan also was awarded a properly divided military retirement, even though there was a VA disability rating attached. So here's the big kicker. If you are in a long-term marriage and you have a military retirement, you need to be very careful, and here's why. If your attorney is not smart or experienced in military divorces, or if they have to consult with another attorney, stop them and go to the nearest DFAS office and find out what would be your ex-spouse's current pay rate when he gets retired. And here's why it's so important. You can request that your decree specifically states or requests 50% of the dollar amount of the awarded retirement without any VA disability ratings attached. What happens is the VA disability rating will pull from that military retirement, thus decreasing the amount that is supposed to be split. If you don't have it specifically worded in your decree, and if your spouse has any type of VA disability rating, that original portion, like I just explained, will be deducted, and it could affect your split of their retirement. I was able to guide Susan around this because my attorney and the attorney she consulted with messed this up. This is costing me still to this day at least $12,000 a year just because it was never asked if he planned on claiming disability, and because she and her consultant did not know the exact wording to protect my interests. So I don't want this to happen to anyone out there. So here are 3 secrets I will cover. Secret 1, knowing what documents that need to be collected and how to analyze them to develop a rock solid decree. Secret number 2, how to take control back from your spouse, their attorney, and yours. And then finally, the last secret, secret number 3, you do not need to agree on everything on your decree unless it is truly what you want it to state. Let's look at secret number 1. Attorneys usually never collect actual financial documentation, leaving you at risk for inaccurate division of assets, liabilities, retirement funds, and property. So here's what usually your attorneys do. They have you fill out their paperwork. Why? Because they can bill for typing it up somewhere else. This leads to inconsistencies and errors. They also don't ask for all of your financial statements, etc., because they don't have the time to analyze this. Again, they're going by what you said you had. They will also request from you a credit rating. But again, they are not comparing what both parties have on a spreadsheet, which is way more accurate than a handwritten, typed up paper. Then there are the tax laws that can get you into trouble with mutual funds and all other kinds of stuff. If your attorney is not smart, their splitting could hurt you later and cost you more money. What people don't know. If you begin your divorce proceedings without collecting all of your documents, your soon-to-be ex-spouse could destroy or misplace them. Not having a copy of all of your documents could result in uneven split of assets and debt, and some of these documents could also be crucial when dividing up property, 401ks, and mutual funds, and so much more, as they contain valuable information on them that could affect your tax status. Here's an example of what I'm talking about. Let's say you and your husband have been married for about, let's say, 15 years. You both have some stock options, mutual funds, and some 401ks. Based off the paper that your attorney both had you fill out, it appears that you both should just split all of the retirement funds down the middle. Looks good on paper, but not so fast. If you do what your attorney suggests, you both may pay quite a deal in taxes in your next tax year. This is because there's a thing called first in, first out. I don't want to bore you with all these details, but basically it means that if you take certain stocks, funds, etc., you have to pay attention to what the tax rates were when the original purchase price was compared to the current price. So splitting these things need to be calculated correctly. I have a spreadsheet already formulated for you that helps you with the exact thing, but I always suggest incorporating the advice of a financial planner or accountant to ensure you are not missing things. This is what I'm talking about. A family law attorney is not a financial planner. They are not an accountant, and they are not your friend. Sure, there are teams of attorneys that have this mixture, but those are usually reserved for very wealthy people who have a ton of assets to divide. Most of us do not fall into that category. So you need to really pay attention to the suggestions that your attorney is giving, because the consequences could last for decades in some cases. Let me tell you a quick story. A 44-year-old woman with 2 children was locked out of her financial accounts by a controlling spouse. She already knew the warning signs of an impending divorce. She had been working on populating the templates and spreadsheets in the divorce games for months. This put her in a well-informed spot where she was able to instruct her attorney on exactly what she needed and wanted outlined in her decree. As a result, her documents were organized and presented in such a way that they told a complete story. When all the retirement accounts were split, she knew exactly which ones to take and which ones to allow him to take. These smart moves protected her tax status, which could have harmed her for years to come. The judge also decided not to split the assets 50-50, but rather 60-40. The judge also forced the husband to pay all legal fees as a reprimand for causing a financial hardship. Again, I knew this lady for some time, well before she decided to leave her dysfunctional marriage. I also helped her structure her finances before she ever filed. But what irritates me the most is when a spouse bullies a stay-at-home mom by locking her out of all bank accounts, leaving her to feel helpless and stressed. This is so uncool. However, because she had all of her documents in a nice package, she was able to walk into court and present her case to the judge. This would not have turned out as well if she did not have all of the homework done beforehand. Secret number 1. Every piece of information is the evidence you need to negotiate a divorce decree on your terms that fits your needs. Divorce is all about a negotiation. This is why no one has the exact same divorce decree written up. You can't negotiate without understanding what you have and don't have. You can't negotiate without showing a picture with facts and not emotions. Your attorney will usually only go by a handwritten line item inputted by you and your credit rating. Proper financial calculations needs exact numbers and exact dates. Things to know about attorneys. Attorneys can receive a bachelor's degree in anything before they are accepted into law school. 95% or greater have no experience in child psychology. 95% or greater have no experience in finance or business operations. They are not experts in project management. They are just consultants who consult based off the sitting judges in that court system. They are connected in their ecosystem and therefore may not properly put your interests first. They are human and have limited expert knowledge, so they may miss crucial things in more complicated divorces. You need to be evaluating this entire process because an attorney works for you. Each of these documents are the proof you need when negotiating your settlement. Remember the military story I told you earlier? My attorney was not an expert in military divorce retirement settlements. She consulted an expert who was a JAG officer retired, who also wrote a paper on this very subject. Yet they both missed the exact wording, and therefore I'm suffering from this mistake. You might also be thinking, how can this help me structure a divorce decree that fits my needs on my terms? You'll be instructed on which documents you should have before you even begin to file. You'll be guided on how to organize each of your documents for safekeeping and for quick reference. You will be given step-by-step tools that you can populate. Then you will have the time to evaluate your financial picture, play around with different scenarios, and then decide how things should be divided without third-party interferences from attorneys of your soon-to-be ex-spouse, to include yours. Each of these documents are proof you need when negotiating your settlement. So here is the truth. You can create your own divorce decree that will fit your needs while presenting a realistic option for your soon-to-be ex-spouse and their legal representative. Even if your soon-to-be ex-spouse wants to play hardball, you will know exactly what you plan to hold on to until you get the ultimate victory. You eliminate attorneys causing dysfunction between parties because you took the time to calculate and then analyze your financial picture. You are eliminating emotion, which gets all of us into trouble. Even people with law degrees can mess up your settlement. That's secret number 2. Many people think my attorney is educated, so I can trust them. My attorney collected all of my information on their forms, so they don't need anything else. My attorney will be really organized and will not miss anything. My attorney will negotiate the best settlement that will benefit me. Here's the thing about settlements. There are expensive pieces, basically settlements are expensive pieces of paper, right? They do not enforce anything. And here's an example. Let's say your ex-spouse is supposed to pick up your child on his time from daycare. You talk to him and he affirms that he will be there before the closing time. Unfortunately, you receive a call from the daycare saying that he was a no-show. Now you have to tell your boss that you have to go pick up your child. Mind you, that you plan to stay later to make up for the time that you had missed because your child was sick earlier that week. Now, you also have to pay for the late fee because he did not pick them up. Hours later, your ex-spouse decides to pick them up with only a half an hour of his time left. You don't want to be a jerk, but you also just bathed them and they're ready for bed. Who protects you? Who enforces this? No one, I tell you. No one will protect you. This is why you need to put teeth in your decree. Here is how this can be handled. Have your decree that everywhere your child is enrolled, that he has to have a credit card that also has to be applied. That way, he gets charged for being late. If he and his attorney does not agree, then request that the non-custodial parent, if he's late by X amount of minutes or causes a financial hardship when he misses that time with the child, that he will have to pay you. You're not keeping him or her away. You are ensuring that you are being protected financially. But you have to think about all the steps, such as ensuring the credit card is on file, is always current. You could also suggest that if your ex is late by X number of times or misses X amount of visits, that you will just be the responsible one, and he will have to pick up the child at another designated spot in order to insulate you from missed pickups. Get creative in your decree. You already know what your ex was like during marriage, so think of all the ways to protect yourself, either by going after financially or taking him or her out of the equation from a pickup. Here's another case study. A military couple with 3 young children seeking a divorce. They owned a house that was upside down on their loan. The husband had significant debt on a separate credit card away from the wife. They had a 401k worth $120,000 in value. They had a military retirement that could be split, totaling $150K for the life of the member annually. They had mutual funds, and they had 2 cars. One was paid off, and the other was upside down on payments. If you're military, have been married over 10-year mark, and have very young children, you need the system more than anything. This was a unique case that taught me a ton of lessons for my future client work. This lady was extremely smart. She was very knowledgeable in her finances. She did most things correctly, but hindsight always teaches lessons. She was awarded the children and had the ability to move the children wherever she wanted to in the United States. She was given half of the 401k, which helped her pad her savings account. The court made her spouse take the debt and the HELOC and the upside down car because he was negligent and did not use the bonuses as promised to pay these off. Finally, because he committed adultery, she was able to make him take his credit card bill of $20,000. Now, what was missed was the fact that she was not instructed nor told that when she sold the home, that she would have to pay her spouse $10K if she sold the home within the first 5 years. But if she waited, then he would be awarded half of the equity of the home in the future. Thankfully, it all worked out as she came to her senses and decided to downsize her home 1 year later. But imagine if she would have stayed and totally upgrade the home. Even if she did sell it, even if she did not sell it, she was on the hook at a certain time frame to pay him a portion of that home. Shame on her attorney for not catching this or allowing this to slip in. This was just a bad deal, since the house was not even near being paid off. So as you can see, attorneys are only as wise as their experience. Your attorney only goes by the values of what you and your spouse input on their paper forms. Spreadsheets are the key. If you don't have all the right documents, you may be forced to pay off a debt that you did not incur. You're the only one who has the vested interest in making sure your decree will spell out correctly what you should or should not have. It will be up to you to do all the detective work. You might also be thinking, I'm not smart enough, I'm not knowledgeable enough, I'm not organized enough, and I'm definitely not financially savvy enough. But here's the truth. This process will instruct you on what to gather, how to organize that information, how to calculate that information, and then how to see the big picture. And it has been tested over and over again in all different types of scenarios. You do not need to agree on everything on your decree unless it is truly what you want your decree to state. That is definitely secret number 3. Now, some people say, I didn't know that I could tell my attorney no or no deal. I didn't know that I could request things other than money from my soon-to-be ex-spouse. I didn't know that I could negotiate what should or should not go into my decree. Now, let me tell you a quick story. There was a client of mine. He was a 50-year-old male, married 23 years. He had a degree in nursing and was making a good income. His ex-spouse also had a degree in nursing, but was only working part-time. They had 2 children, 16 and 17 years of age. The 16-year-old was going to go with the mother, and the 17-year-old was going to go with the father. The ex-husband was being very generous, even though his wife wanted to end the marriage. However, both attorneys wanted him to be on the hook to pay alimony to his wife. The ex-husband refused to agree to this because he was able to paint the picture that if his wife began working full-time again in a specialty that paid a higher hourly rate, and if she decided to work weekends and nights, that she would be making as much, if not more, than him. The result, by him being able to describe that, he did not have to pay alimony, thus saving him at least 50% of lost wages. So here's the truth. When I was talking with this gentleman, he was telling me all the things that happened in his divorce. I was giving him suggestions regarding how to structure his decree until he mentioned how both the attorneys were trying to make him pay alimony. I've known this gentleman for well over 7 years, and I've also known that his soon-to-be ex-wife was a nurse who was only working part-time. So I dug deeper, and I found out that that was her choice. So then I researched his state requirements, what his state requirements were for alimony. Basically, it stated that alimony was to help the spouse live in the lifestyle that they were accustomed to. Well, he was a nurse and was working full-time. I told him to tell both attorneys no deal. His wife already had her degree and license. She was choosing to work part-time in a specialty that did not pay high dollar. She has every opportunity to change jobs, work different shifts at a full-time rate so that she would be on the same footing as her husband. I'm all for alimony, but only temporary and only when the other spouse has a plan to better themselves in a specific time frame. I am not for it when you were married for 20 plus years and you want to mess with your spouse. So I taught him how to negotiate on this subject matter where he was able to present hard documented facts. In the end, he did not have to pay alimony, saving him around 50% in lost annual wages according to the state where he would be getting divorced. Some people also think, I don't know how to face my bullying spouse. I don't know how to fight the opposing attorney that keeps shutting me down. I don't know how to direct my attorney when they are leading me down the wrong path. And I definitely don't know how to present my case. But here's the truth. You can face your bullying spouse. You can fight the opposing attorney that keeps shutting you down. You can present your case by using hardcore facts instead of emotions. You can create your own rock-solid divorce decree. So let me ask you a question. Are you enjoying this webinar so far? Here's what we covered. Secret number 1, how to identify what documents need to be collected and analyzed to develop a rock-solid decree. Secret number 2, even people with law degrees can mess up your settlement. Remember my story? Secret number 3, you do not need to agree to everything in your decree unless it is truly what you want your decree to state. This is all about negotiation. So who wants to take things to the next level? I'm ready. Are you? Introducing Divorce Games, a step-by-step package of templates, spreadsheets, checklists, and negotiating tools to help you strategically plan your settlement. Divorce Games is a strategic plan that helps you to really evaluate your marital landscape with actual formulated tools. Prevents your attorney from hijacking the process because you will be the one in control. It eliminates mistakes made by having incomplete data and allows you to direct the negotiation process. So here's what you get. The Insider's Guide to Structuring Your Divorce Decree. Make it a snap to gather, organize, analyze your marital landscape well before ever hiring an attorney. This prevents third-party interferences that causes you to stress and even make mistakes, and it prevents mistakes that could cost you tens of thousands of dollars well after the ink has dried. Here's proof. Meet Danielle, a 40-year-old woman who is married to a very difficult and controlling spouse. She purchased the Divorce Games product. She followed the process, filled out all the templates, planned out what she needed her divorce decree to look like since she had a son with disabilities who would need care all the way through his adulthood. And then she redirected her attorney several times when her attorney wanted to make deals that would not benefit the children nor herself. Her results? Danielle had the power to shut down emotional conversations because she had the numbers and facts and not emotions to back up her statements and requests. Danielle was able to have the judge force her ex-spouse to repay the funds that he removed from her account. Danielle was able to convince the judge to grant her the alimony that she needed for the length of time required to earn her 4-year degree in nursing in order to help care for her disabled son. Who does this work for? Divorces with children, divorces without children, contentious divorces, amicable divorces, and anyone seeking divorce. The number one reason why people don't get started. You might be thinking, you can't get started because I already have hired an attorney. Good news. You can make sure that your attorney is not making any mistakes and that everything you want is included in your divorce decree. With these tools, you will be able to plan the division of the dissolution of your marital business, double check your attorney's work, direct the crucial conversations with actual financial figures, thus eliminating emotions, proving your points to your ex-spouse, their attorneys, and even yours, plus remain on top of the entire process. So here is what you're going to get. Offer piece number 1, The Insider's Guide to Structuring Your Divorce Decree. It is a $297 value. You also get these tools. Formulated net worth asset spreadsheet, a formulated net worth liability spreadsheet, a net worth balance summary sheet, a determining your real estate net value, a real estate description and current values sheet, the value of insurance policies, stock and mutual fund spreadsheet, calculating the value of investment plan spreadsheet, a cash flow income spreadsheet, and so much more. Let me show you what I mean with a few examples. Let's look at this sample. Before anyone ever even hires an attorney, they should have already populated all of the spreadsheets and templates in Divorce Games. All you have to do is drop in your numbers. For these spreadsheets, I researched many financial spreadsheets to ensure that you won't miss a thing when trying to calculate what your marital landscape may or may not have. Here is just a snippet of the assets and liability spreadsheet, which are already formulated for you. Trust me when I say what your attorney is collecting from you is handwritten and they do not place it in a spreadsheet. This is so important because not knowing all the facts could place you in a different tax bracket, which can make you a loser in the future when on paper your decree look like you won. What are you worth? Many people are in so much debt. You all may be thinking you have a lot to fight over, but do you? If you don't know what you are really worth, then what are you fighting about? Because you may be just fighting about debt. How much is your property worth? Most of the time our home is an emotional asset, but could it be a liability? Find out if you should even fight to keep it, or do some smart do the smart thing and start all over. Did you know that not all insurance policies are the same? Well, in Divorce Games, we explain all you need to know about this topic. I also explain just how important it is when you have children to ensure you have a policy that covers everything you need until your child graduates college. I also explain why it's important to be the policyholder owner of the non-custodial parent. The stories I can tell you about how the non-custodial parent died and how the custodial parent does not have the money because the policy was not paid for, the policy was canceled by the non-custodial parent, or the policy was changed over to another party. See, there's no teeth in a divorce decree. Always have insurance and always be in control of the policies by being the one who takes it out on the non-custodial parent. With these tools, you'll be able to identify what assets, debt, and property you have to determine how it should be divided according to your state laws. It will also help you to negotiate with your spouse and any legal representative regarding what is the best split of your marital landscape based off actual and documented numbers. With these tools, you can get rid of wasting time and money spent on attorneys' billing rates. You'll be able to get rid of returning back to the family court system again to rewrite a portion of your decree due to missed items. You'll be able to get rid of going into further debt and worrying about whether being taken advantage of during your divorce proceedings. Problem solved. Stop wasting needless energy on worrying and begin concentrating on outlining the actions needed by both parties well before the final decree is ever drafted. Time and money saved. You don't have to research what financial tools you will need because it has already been done for you. Each tool has been placed in a certain order to help you to determine what you have to split and whether or not you should fight for a particular item. Plus, Divorce Games give you an explanation as to why you should fill a template out or the hidden pitfalls among certain financial scenarios. You might also be thinking, my attorney will handle this. Here's the truth. Your attorney's knowledge is limited based on their experiences and their educational level, which may not be in the areas of finance, business, or child psychology. Your attorney is human and they can make big mistakes. Remember my story earlier? Your divorce decree will never affect them, but it will affect you for years to come. Your attorney may have biases that could affect your outcome as a whole. You also get offer piece number 2, Decoded Structuring Your Divorce Decree for Primary Caregivers. This is a $397 value. This is my all-time favorite piece of the entire Divorce Games. These set of templates make it easy for you to negotiate with your spouse and your legal representative regarding the actual level of work and costs needed to raise your children. Stop wasting needless energy on worrying and begin concentrating on outlining the actions needed by both parties well before the final decree is ever drafted. Here's the deal with divorcing with children. Unless you're going to move into another situation, such as remarriage, for example, where yours and your children's needs will be taken care of, you will have to return back to the workforce. This means if you are the primary care parent, everything falls on you, such as when they are sick, how to get them out, how to get them to and from school, and all the other messy things that we worry about. This is my favorite section, as I mentioned before. In this area, you have a section where you can fill out who did the actual work while raising your children, such as changing diapers, taxiing them everywhere, PTA functions, or all the other things that are discounted by attorneys and your soon-to-be ex. They don't even think it's work, right? I also have a form showing who is the parent that has the most stable work and travel pattern, because all children need stability. I even have a form that is eye-opening. This form has you fill out what you're currently spending on things in that age group, but also all the other things that are forgotten, such as homecoming, school supplies, prom, extracurricular functions, just to name a few. Let's face it, unless you've already raised a little human being all the way to adulthood, you have no clue on all the things that should be considered in your decree to help you raise your child. Don't be on the hook for everything. Calculate these categories and make a deal, but don't forget to have it spelled out in your decree. Offer piece number 3, Insider's Tip to Analyzing Your Final Decree. The Ultimate Divorce Action List is the secret to analyzing your divorce decree well before you sign it. This allows you to evaluate exactly what should be yours, what should be his, and what could be held out for negotiation until you get what you want or need out of your decree, no matter how stressed and tired you are. I'm a very visual person, and having this document where it spells this out is amazing. Usually we can just chat back and forth with our attorneys and forget what was agreed on. But seeing it will help you determine if you are really getting what you need or want in your divorce. Have you ever seen a poker game? These high rollers wear sunglasses and hold their cards in such a way where you can't see what type of hand they are holding. They are waiting for the right time to have their opponent lay their cards on the table or make them fold. You have to think like this in a divorce, even if your soon-to-be ex-spouse is trying to be nice. Why? Because later you may find out things and wonder why you did not protect yourself financially. Remember, if you took care of a home or children, you worked hard. Look at what it cost to hire a maid service or a live-in nanny. If that spouse was able to climb the ladder on your sacrifice, you need to ensure you have what you need in order to get back into the workforce and make it as well. You won't have to, because I did. I spent months of reading family law books, researching financial and business templates, and then developed the end product. I also tested it out on my own divorce. I then made changes, and then I put it out for retest on multiple friends, family members, to see if I could replicate the same solid results, and I did. And there's more. Super cool bonus number 1, negotiating essentials. Everyone needs good negotiating essentials, and that takes practice. This guide will provide you with examples as to how to negotiate. No parent going through a divorce needs the added stress, anxiety, and worry on how their actions are negatively affecting their children. Parents can help children adjust to their new lifestyle by understanding how to minimize the negative aspects of divorce, identifying the typical responses of children to divorce, while working with the other parent to maintain loving and nurturing environment. Let's review what you're going to get. The Insider's Guide to Structuring Your Divorce Decree, a $297 value. Decoded, Structuring Your Divorce Decree for Primary Caregivers, a $397 value. Insider's Tips to Analyzing the Final Decree, a $227 value. Negotiating Essentials Book, a $227 value. And Parenting Through Divorce Book, a $97 value. Total value, $1,245. And you also get, you get tips on how to end your marriage, a $17 value. Helpful hints on the divorce process, a $97 value. And an important things to consider in any divorce, a $97 value. And finally, if you don't know where to begin, don't worry. With the free 30-minute coaching call, you can ask me anything regarding your divorce, and I will be happy to share my wisdom and guidance as you navigate your way through your divorce. Schedule yours today. What you're going to get: the Insider's Guide to Structuring Your Divorce Decree, a $297 value. Decoded, Structuring Your Divorce Decree for Primary Caregivers, a $397 value. Insider's Tips to Analyzing the Final Decree, a $227 value. Negotiating Essentials, a $227 value. Parenting Through the Divorce Book, a $97 value. Important Things to Consider in Any Divorce, a $97 value. Tips on How to End Your Marriage, $17 value. Important Things to Consider in Any Divorce, a $97 value. Getting Out of Debt and How to Land the Perfect Job, a $17 value. Plus a free 30-minute coaching call valued at $267. Helpful hints on the divorce process, a $97 value. Totaling $1,741. Now obviously, I'm not going to charge you $1,741. But if I did charge you $1,741 and all it did was show you exactly how to strategically plan your divorce decree, would it be worth it to you? Okay, so I could stop right there. If I stopped right here and you only got the Insider's Guide to Structuring Your Divorce Decree, would it still be worth the investment, right? But you're also getting Decoded, Structuring Your Divorce Decree for Primary Caregivers and Insiders, tips to analyzing the final decree, the ultimate divorce action list, and its secret to analyzing your divorce decree well before you sign it. It also allows you to evaluate exactly what should be yours, what should be his, and what could be held out for negotiation until you get what you need out of your decree, no matter how stressed or tired you are. But you're also going to get negotiating essentials and a 30-minute free coaching call. And this is only going to be offered to the first 50. I want to make sure that nothing is standing in the way of your success. If all it did was help you develop a rock-solid divorce decree, would it be worth $1741? If all it did was show you how to calculate your financial worth, even if you decided to hire an attorney to make all the decisions for you, would it be worth $1741? If all it did was help you negotiate a better deal in your divorce, would it be worth $1741? When we were deciding how to price this, we had two choices. The first one was to go as cheap as possible and sell as many as we could. Now, the problem with that is we would have no real incentive to pile on the value. It would cost us more for those bonuses than for the whole course would be worth. Our second choice was to raise the price a little and give you absolutely everything you need to succeed. What would it be worth to you? So if you were able to get divorced without having an attorney hijack that process, what would it be worth to you? How about if you could design a divorce decree that would meet and fit your individual needs? What would that be worth to you? My gift to you. I'm going to give you a special discount today because you are here with me live on this webinar and took the time to listen. I'm going to give you Divorce Games and all those extras, and you're not going to pay $1741 value. You're not even going to pay the $997 regular value. But for today, I'm going to give you a special for $297. Check out my website at https://divorcegames.info/opt-in, or go to the free coaching call class at https://divorcegamesfreecoachingcall.as.me. You've got two choices. Pay an attorney tens of thousands of dollars with no way of checking their information is correct, or work through this process that will take you step by step so that you are in control of designing your divorce decree. The real question is it worth gambling a few minutes of your time to check this out, even if it only does half of what I've claimed today? It will pay for itself as soon as you walk through your divorce process. And if this wasn't already amazing enough, I'm going to throw in 2 more bonus pieces. Getting out of debt and how to land the perfect job, and how to stop crying during divorce. What you're going to get: the Insider's Guide to Structuring Your Divorce Decree, a $297 value. Decoded, Structuring Your Divorce Decree for Primary Caregivers, a $397 value. Insider's Tip to Analyzing the Final Decree, a $227 value. Negotiating Essentials, a $227 value. Parenting Through Divorce, a $97 value. Tips on How to End Your Marriage, a $17 value. Important Things to Consider in Any Divorce, a $97 value. Getting Out of Debt and How to Land the Perfect Job, a $17 value. A free 30-minute coaching call valued at $267. Helpful hints on the divorce process, a $97 value, totaling $1741 plus the 2 bonuses. Get started now for only $297, at divorcegames.info. Plus, it comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're still on the fence, now is the time to open a new browser window. Go to divorcegames.info and get started. Remember, there is no risk because we have a 100% money-back guarantee. But the only way for you to know if this is right for you is to get started right now. You can get Divorce Games product at divorcegames.info. Remember, divorce games where the stakes are high and the rules are ambiguous.